Hey everyone, welcome to the video. Going to use MLB main slate for DraftKings. The one starts at 7 o'clock. I'm also going to go over a quick little, some of my quick notes over the early slate that starts at 4 o'clock at the end of this video, so stay tuned for that as well. It's not going to be in-depth or anything, just a little sheet that I put together after looking it over quick, but my main focus is on this main slate tonight. Anyway, before we continue, if you could leave a like, subscribe to the channel, I really appreciate that. We're really close to 1,000. I know I keep saying this, but we just are. I think we're at 955 maybe. So I know I always get quite a few more over the weekend. So if we could get to 1,000, that would be awesome. Even if we don't, you guys are still awesome, but just be really cool. But we'll get there eventually, no matter what. And also, upcoming schedule, NASCAR qualifying is at 3 o'clock tomorrow. I already have my model updated with all the practice times and whatnot. But I need the qualifying, so that's going to be at 3, then give or take an hour for that. And then I'm going to have to finish my content up that I already have prepped. So then maybe about 5 o'clock, shooting for 5 o'clock maybe. Could be a good time for that. And then I can get all that content out. And I'm going to keep beating this drum. I'm going to be doing some extra stuff on Patreon. We've already had quite a few of you join on Patreon for access to all the DFS models I do. For baseball, we have the pitching model, the hitting model, just this cheat sheets available as well. So the whole thing I use, it's got projections on there, their value, got a lot of good stuff on there, and I post extra updates in this sheet. As you know, when I scroll over, it says updates during the day. I do my updates on there, and I'll even give up some extra tips of like what I'm doing at pitcher, what the good combos are for cash, GBP, and whatnot. And I can even do some extra stuff as well. Just depends what you guys would like. And then we have the projections for UFC. I know a lot of people are getting in on UFC because that's tomorrow. We have projections for that. Example, cash lineup or something like that. And a lot of good stuff. We have the golf model and NASCAR model, which I think I would think would be really popular. I know a lot of you guys like NASCAR, and I know a lot of you are subscribed for NASCAR. So we have the NASCAR model. We've been doing really well on that this year, and I have projections now for that. So I'm pretty excited about that. And I'm going to be doing a article for those of you who are joined on Patreon. I used to do that on Reddit for free, but I'm going to move it onto the Patreon just to give you guys something special. And I'm going to be doing my driver exposures that I have for each driver, my player pool, and some other extra stuff. So I think you guys will really enjoy it. If you are interested, I'm going to put the link in the description below, but this is what it looks like. So if you just click on the link, it's going to bring you to this page to become a Patreon. And you have your choices of the UFC model, the PGA model, the NASCAR model, which I'm going to kind of giving you guys a little commercial about right now. But all that is right there. And if you want access to everything, it's $20 a month. And if you want the MLB model, it's $10 a month as well. Now, the $20 is pretty good value because with NFL coming soon, I'm gonna keep that price the same, and then I'll add NFL for what, I don't know, like $8 or $10. So just some stuff to look forward to, and just what the upcoming schedule will be. So NASCAR will be out tomorrow. And anyway, let's get into this cheat sheet. Enough about that. As soon as I fix the format here. Alright, so let's get into the cheat sheet. So SP1 for me is going to be Ryu at 11,500. He's been a rock star so far this season, and the Rockies are a completely different team on the road. They suck, although I do prefer righties versus them, but Ryu's just been absolutely dominant, and it's a good pitcher's park as well. So definitely like Ryu a lot, and he's pretty safe. And then Lance Lynn at 10,100. This is more of a GPP play because the park he's in, obviously it's Texas, it's hot, it's a great hitter's park. But he's been good this year. He can rack up some Ks versus a heavy strikeout team in Chicago, and I wouldn't be surprised if he has a good game. I think he could be right up there with Ryu in terms of overall raw projection. And then, so I want some bats, and I don't like the mid-range, and I really don't want to spend up for two high-end guys because I just don't think that's smart. And I'm not seeing much, so I'm thinking Peter Lambert would be a nice punt option at 5,500. So I know his worst starts are in Coors Field. So the first start he had was against Chicago was not in Coors Field, and he actually had a very nice game. And he is sitting at a 23% K rate right now. So I do think he's interesting, although he has struggled versus lefties so far, which is a problem versus the Dodgers. But again, he's only 5,500. It's a much better park than Coors to pitch in. So I'm thinking we can get 10 points out of him, and then we can just load up on our bats in Texas and some other good spots, and I think we can call it a day as long as he does that, as long as he doesn't explode and get negative. So I do think he's a decent punt option. I am going to look into some more mid-range options throughout the day, and I will put that in the update. So for those of you on Patreon that have access to the sheet, I'll post some updates. But as of right now, I think he's a decent punt option. So might have to roll with Lambert. Not sure yet, but just and taking an early look, he does look pretty interesting at that price. Then a catcher, we have Gary Sanchez, to no surprise, and he does not have two N's in his name. Okay, so really, there's just not much to say here. He's the best offensive catcher in the league, and it isn't even close. And then Jeff Mathis at 2K, if we need a pure punt play, he's the bare minimum for a team I love tonight, as you're going to see. I think I have the entire team listed almost. And then if you don't want to use those two guys, just fill it in after you fill out your lineup, because I really don't have a preference for any other catcher, so just see who fits at the end. Then at first base, we have Brandon Belt at 3,500. I love all the lefties from the Giants, and I think we've seen another high-scoring game here tonight with two bad pitchers on the mound in Arizona. Godley's just not been the same pitcher he was a couple years ago. He's been pretty bad, so I do like picking on him again. And then Matt Adams at 4,100. He does one thing and one thing only, and that's to hit righties very well. That's what he does, and he's got a ton of power versus them. And I do think I would not be surprised if he took Fulte deep. And then Freddie Freeman at 5,200. Dude's on fire, and it's just one of the best pure hitters in baseball. Anibal has been great versus righties, but not so much versus lefties. So the lefties from the Braves interest me. So it would be like Albies, Markakis, Freeman. Can't think of another one off the top of my head, but there might be another one. So I do like him. And then at second base, I only have two listed because these are the only two guys I'm interested in. We have Rugi Odor at 3,900. So the Rangers price dropped versus a bad righty in Texas, which makes absolutely no sense to me. So we're just going to load them up again. Although I can't see them being very high owned. Like tonight, they were not high owned at all. Rugi Odor was, I think, 13%. Mazzara, he was pretty high owned at 39%. But other than that, wasn't too high owned. So that's interesting. But I can see that switching to tonight on, and obviously because it's a much smaller slate. And I think people are going to realize the good value here. And then Joe Panic at 3,100, dirt cheap lefty versus Godley, and he's going to be leading off. And at third base, we have Asdrubal Cabrera at 3,900. Like I said, I'm pretty sure I'm going to list the entire Rangers offense today, but it's just the truth. I like them all so much, and they're just way too cheap. And I do like Asdrubal versus right-handed pitching better, so it's a good spot for him. Then Moncada at 4,600. Don't love picking on Lynn here. As I said, I do have him as a good play, but don't mind some one-offs, and I would prefer the lefties, kind of like when we had the Indians in Texas, and I liked Lindor, and he was able to hit a homer off of him, but overall the Indians didn't do too much versus Lynn. So I could kind of see that same thing happening. So lefties, Moncada, Alonso, guys like that. And then Anthony Rendon and Arenado. I didn't want to leave Arenado off because I wanted to talk about him. So first of all, Rendon, I love the Nats versus Fulton. He just seems to be broken this year. And Rendon's probably their best hitter, so wouldn't want to leave him off of full stacks. And Nolan is purely GPP play versus Ryu, but getting him at this price versus the lefty, I'm going to be very interested in. And then at shortstop, we have Elvis Andrus at 5,100. Seriously, just give me about any Ranger in this game. I think I might have listed every Ranger, so if I did, that was the goal, so we did it. And Trey Turner, 5,200. He's been smashing righties this season with an ISO over 200, and we all know his amazing stolen base upside. He can easily turn double into a triple, so definitely like Trey Turner. And Brandon Crawford at 2,900. Dirt cheap versus Godley, who's been awful this season. I said I'd get this guy right a lot, and he had a pretty decent game last night. At least I think he did. I saw he doubled at some point. I hope he did something else, but even if he just doubled at 3,100, that was a good play. So 2,900, I'm interested again. And then in the high-end outfield, we have Shin-Soo Choo at 5,100. Rangers' implied total is nearly 6.5, and deservedly so. Love all the lefties here. Same for Danny Santana. Then Jarrod Dyson at 5,100. Always a guy like versus righties, and Beat has just been awful versus lefties so far, and this guy's got tons of speed. And then in the mid-range outfield, this is a very interesting price. Giancarlo Stanton at 4,100 versus the lefty. I don't get the price. I know he strikes out a lot, but we're going to have to play him at that price, so definitely like Stanton there. And then Aaron Judge, too. I know I have Aaron Judge listed, but he's in play as well. 4,600. Just, I don't know. All the Yankees are really cheap, and so are the Rangers. I don't know what DK was thinking, but oh well. So going to be a lot of chalk tomorrow. And then Juan Soto at 4,600. Volti is broken at this point, and I do like the Nats stack tonight, as I said. And then David Peralta, 4,300. Always a guy I like versus righties, and Beat has just been awful versus lefties so far. Then in the value outfield, we have Nomar Mazara at 4,100. Pricing is just silly on the slate. We got the Yankees price low. We got the Rangers price low. The Nats are priced up at least, but I guess if they weren't priced up, we'd have a major chalk problem. But I do love all the Rangers bats. Then same with Willie Calhoun, same exact thing. And then Adam Eaton, 3,800, just a lefty versus Fultz, but I like lefties and righty. And then if we go to some of the core plays, we have Rio at 11,500, Odor at 3,900. I know a lot of people might not want to pay up for Rio, but I just don't know where else we're gonna go with pitcher. And if we're gonna use Lambert, I would want to pair with an ace. I'm not totally sure if we're using Lambert yet, but this early look, he does look pretty interesting at that price. Then Odor at 3,900, Stanton at 4,100, and Mazara at 4,100. Then for the impactful weather, just follow me on Twitter, and I retweet as much weather stuff as I can. And then the top stacks for me are going to be the Rangers, the Nationals, the D-backs, and the Giants. Alright guys, that's all I have for the video, which actually is not true because I have this little sheet I put. It really is, seriously, it's not much at all, but just some of the stuff I was looking at. This is for the earlier slate. I love Tommy Malone going against the Orioles. Just a pretty good matchup overall. Chris Archer in a good matchup, 8,400. And then Benintendi versus, what's his name? Nick Kingham. He just absolutely sucks versus lefties. Danny Jansen versus the lefty. He's just way too cheap. And Jason Kipnis versus Turnbull, who he really struggles with lefties. So I do like the Indians on that slate. And the top stacks for me are going to be the Red Sox, the Indians, particularly the lefties, which are pretty much almost all lefties. And then the Cincy lefties, I think that could be sneaky versus Chassin. He's not very good versus left-handed pitching, left-handed bats. So that's guys like Winker, Dietrich, Votto. So I do like those guys. Sorry, it's not much, guys. I just have a lot of NASCAR content to do, and I want to focus on the main slate. All right, guys, that's all I have for the video. Remember to leave a like, subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate that. Follow me on Twitter at ChrisPennell16. Support me on Patreon. Links in the description below. I'd really appreciate that. And best of luck to you all today, tomorrow, whenever you're watching this.